George Alexander Muthoot, MD of Muthoot Finance, joins us on the show. Mr. Muthoot, thank you so much for your time to us here at NDTV Profit. Great to have you on. Let's begin by getting your take on the easing up of regulations by the RBI. Would it be like some relief of rain after a drought? What is the impact for the space from the regulator, the signal that you're getting, and for your business?
Thank you. Good morning. I think the signal what is being said is that the public needs to get more and more funds accessible. So to get access to funds, banks can do direct lending as well as banks can do lending through the NBFCs. So through the NBFCs is the last mile. And that, as you said, as you earlier said, the risk weight, etc., were increased maybe 2 years back. Now it has been restored. So there was a signal from the RBI that, yes, please cut down or tone down on the loans to NBFCs. Now that is lifted. So definitely that's a very, very good point. But then the purpose, I think, I feel with the Finance Ministry or the RBI is that finally people at the bottom, at the rural, at the urban level, the lower level, needs to get funding. And that funding usually comes through NBFCs. So if we choke their funding, there will be difficulty. The fund available at the lower level, at the consumer level, will be low. So to increase the funding at the consumer level, this will definitely help. I think that is a signal which RBI is giving. And of course, banks work through NBFCs for the last mile, and the NBFCs are the correct vehicle for giving these loans. So that's a win-win for the consumer as well as for the economy, because without consumer spending and the economy moving up, the economy of the country also will not go up.
In terms of impact, and you've put it very well, Mr. Muthoot, on what the overall picture is from the consumer perspective, economy perspective, but in terms of impact on your company, how do you see this boosting availability of capital growth, and is that push which you now expect sustainable?
As far as Muthoot Finance is concerned, we have a diversified funding. Of course, banking or the banking sector contributes about 55% of our overall borrowing. So freeing up little more funding from the banks certainly will help. So banks will be little more freer to lend money to NBFCs, and definitely they will be much more comfortable and they'll have more fund available for giving to banks, because once the risk weight is reduced, their capital allocation for loans to NBFCs will be lesser to that extent. So that is the benefit of the banks. But then as far as Muthoot Finance is concerned, as I said, we have about 55% of our borrowing coming from banks. This will certainly help us in availability.
Doesn't seem like, Mr. Muthoot, that you need any of that, because your numbers, even without that, were looking very strong. So because I didn't get the chance to talk to you post your Q3, right? Strong numbers, margin expansion as well, steady ROAs. Is this what you would have hoped for? And is this something that you reckon can continue or can improve with these relaxations as well?
One thing to make it clear is that, yes, our working capital or the funding, our money has to be from funding. So we definitely need bank funding. We definitely also, not that we were not needing anything, we definitely need more funding. So that question is definitely there. The second is, yes, we have been growing well, because what is happening in the market is that last 2-3 quarters, the Reserve Bank as well as the Finance Ministry had been giving signals that unsecured loans are not very comfortable. They are not comfortable with growth in the unsecured loans. So then it had an impact of finally, again, coming back to the availability of funding at the consumer level, whether it is through microfinance. There have been a lot of issues in the microfinance, and people are not getting the money as earlier in the microfinance sector. The unsecured loans, like the personal loans and also the SME loans, which are unsecured, banks and NBFCs have been cautiously doing it. So then what has happened is that finally the availability of funding at the consumer level had taken a hit. But then at that time, as usual, gold loans came as a savior, which people started using gold loan as an opportunity to get more funding. So in the last 3 quarters, we have seen good demand for gold loan, both in the rural as well as in the urban sphere. So that is one of the reasons why the people we were able to build our book. But more important than that, we feel that as Muthoot, we feel that we were able to help customers to get their money. See, people need money. If it is not coming from the unsecured loans, microfinance, etc., or the personal loan, they need funding for economic growth. And gold loan had become an important part, and Muthoot was able to help the customers, and in the process, help build its book and profit also.
Okay. Mr. Muthoot, just trying to understand, your track record has been stupendous, right? I mean, you've had good growth over a number of years. The principal commodity which people attach to your business, gold, has had a phenomenal run too, and people anticipate that to continue. My question is, do you take a 3-year view of what the business could look like with all the uncertainties surrounding lending and regulator moves, etc.? And at the start of 2025, if I were to ask you to crystal ball gaze for 2-3 years out in such an uncertain scenario, what would your response be, sir?
Sir, one thing, you used the word commodity. Actually, we are not financing a commodity.
Yeah,
we
you
don't
are.
finance gold.
Yeah, of course, of course.
We finance the gold ornaments of the people, and there is such a lot of gold available. And you should see that gold loan is actually a self-liquidating asset. It doesn't increase the indebtedness of the borrower, because somebody can borrow only up to 75% of the gold which he has. So it doesn't lead to over leveraging. That is one of the big advantages of gold loan. And in the uncertain times, gold loan has always been good. So we definitely have been propagating gold loan. Now that the banks and others have also got into the field, the people are more comfortable to use gold loan or gold ornaments as a good collateral for their financial needs. That is what we are seeing. There is definitely growth in the sector, whether it is to Muthoot or to banks or to other NBFCs. There's definitely a growth. The growth is widening. The market is widening. More and more people are seeing gold loans or gold ornaments as a good collateral to get quick and easy loans. And one big advantage for gold loans is that you don't have the EMI pressure. These are all bullet loans going for 12 months. There is no EMI pressure. So it's more comfortable. It is more easy. And finally, it doesn't lead to over leveraging loans. So to me, if you ask, gold loan growth will certainly be there. Not only Muthoot, all the banks, everybody will be able to grow. But as Muthoot, we should be with more than 5,000 branches spread all over the place. There is a lot of space for growth. There is a lot of room for Muthoot's growth. And one final thing is that people would always like to have a touch and feel for the gold loan business. People would rather come to a branch, nearest branch, and hand over the gold to their branch. So that is the big advantage Muthoot has, because we take the gold from the customer from him at the branch itself and hand it over to the branch manager, kept there. So the branch is certainly plays a very important part in this business. So Muthoot, we see, to answer your question, we see good growth prospects even in the next 2-3 years with your crystal ball look.
Mr. Muthoot, just a follow-up on gold loan, and this is a conversation that we've been having in the studio as well. At times of crisis in other asset classes, gold comes to the fore, and we're speaking right on the context of what's happening in the economy, etc. I'm just wondering if you've seen an increase in demand in this quarter, in the last few months, for gold loans. And does it now help that the RBI has also allowed you to increase your presence with 115 branches?
Yeah, certainly. That's what I said. I was trying to say. Occasionally, we start about 100 to 150 branches every year. As a gold loan NBFC, we need to get the RBI's permission. Actually, branch opening permission is required only for gold loan companies. So all other NBFCs and banks can open branches without RBI's prior permission. For gold loan NBFCs, we need their permission. Of course, we get it. So now we have got 115 branches. Our presence will be much better. So as I said earlier, the touch and feel is definitely important. So we need to increase our branches also. So 100, 150 branches a year is what we usually look forward to, and that is really happening, and that is helping us in the gold business also.
The first part of my question, Mr. Muthoot, have you seen an increase in demand for your primary service of gold loans, tying in with what we're seeing around in the economy?
Yes. The last 3 quarters, we have seen increasing demand. Our growth has always been good. Our growth projections for the year was 15%, and in the last 3 quarters itself, we have crossed 30%. So we are on track for good growth, and we see good growth in this quarter also. So there is demand both in the rural as well as in the urban sector.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with us, George Alexander Muthoot, there on the relief which has come from the Reserve Bank of India. Very, very important for the NBFC space if you want to take that last mile availability of credit to people who really need it. So interesting conversation there. Of course, demand for gold loans has only been zooming, which typically would happen if there is any stress in other asset classes in the economy.